is the price of Botox going to go up? Because, it's the biggest thing that I use every day.
Yeah. And so what does that mean for patients? Because if it does go up, then either the patients are going to pay more or you're going to make less profit.
If anyone's cost price goes up, you're not going to be able to sustain your business on less profit if you're currently already struggling, which most people or many people are.
And this sort of brings me back to the point that I've been speaking about sort of ad nauseum is you need to understand what your gross margins are.
Welcome to Inside Aesthetics, the world's leading podcast for aesthetic medical practitioners and injectors. I'm Dr. Jake Sloane, a Sydney-based doctor, speaker and trainer with over 17 years of experience.
And I'm David Segal, an aesthetic business entrepreneur and mentor with over 20 years of experience in our industry. Our podcast is aimed at medical professionals only, and we share industry insights from leading experts. Our podcasts are general in nature and should not be used by prospective patients for any medical advice or treatment decision-making. All patients should have a consultation with a medical professional and have a bespoke consultation before proceeding with any treatment.
You can also subscribe to our Patreon for on-demand educational content, videos, business coaching, and networking with over 350 other injectors from around the world.
Hey guys, welcome to What's Trending in Aesthetics, everyone's favorite mini-series. And you'll notice, Jake and listeners, we're in our new podcast studio. Well, kind of.
When this is eventually up on YouTube. Yeah, so look, our studio, we've mentioned it a few times. It's still in flux. We're waiting for a new sign. Hence, you can see this awful reflection from our massive light in front of us. And we'll do a few things to make it look a bit nicer. But yeah, the idea is to get more visual and be on YouTube and Spotify more regularly. So welcome. And like David said, this is chapter 12 of What's Trending in Aesthetics. It's always nice to sort of have a look around the world and see what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
What are people talking about? What's interesting people? Firstly, any news for our listeners? Anything that we want to remind people of?
Well, once again, we've got 3 major conferences that we are attending in the month of September. So first of all, from the 2nd to the 4th of September, we will be joining the Fresh Live Conference in Brisbane, Australia. So Jake and I are doing a number of podcasts, some workshops, some talks. So if you're going to be there, come and say hi. Don't be shy. That rhymed. That wasn't meant to rhyme, but anyway.
We might even do an impromptu recording or something for social. So come and say hi. But, joking aside, just be nice to see
absolutely.
See you guys and meet people who've joined our Patreon.
Yeah.
As a reminder of Patreon, if you haven't heard of Patreon, it's an app that you can download from your app store on your phone. Log in under Inside Aesthetics and you can subscribe to us. Now, it's been very confusing for people. You can become either a free member, meaning essentially you become part of our community. We can communicate with you. We can send you news, updates, anything, competition news, etc. But also you can subscribe as a paying member. It's currently 50 Australian dollars a month, and you get access to a whole world of stuff, including being part of our WhatsApp community, where lots of people talk, share advice, support, problem shoot, banter. Exactly. That's probably the most popular thing with our Patreon, I would say. It's the most regular thing.
Yeah, and it's cool because it's such a lonely road sometimes being in this industry, and you get to meet colleagues that are like-minded. People catch up at conferences, develop relationships and friendships. So yeah, it's cool. It's just fun, and there's always interesting conversations that are going on. Never a dull moment.
Yeah, and then of course David does business coaching within Patreon. So on the app, there's searchable videos, etc. And I do regular injectable content as well. So there's lots there. No pressure, but a lot of people getting value from our Patreon.
No pressure, but join.
Yeah, exactly. With the guns to your head. And then we've got IA offers. So lots of people don't seem to know about offers. We have corporate, discounts and specials with various companies. We'll try and expand more and more of these as time goes on. But some of our most popular ones are with a company called Bacteriostatic Water. So like the name suggests, they make bacteriostatic water and saline, and they distribute globally. So if you use these products in your clinic regularly, it's kind of a no-brainer to get them cheaper if you can. The shipping, even if you are abroad, is cheap and effective. So check it out. Other companies we work with are Health Law Partners. They're a legal company based down in Melbourne, Australia. So, of course, this is more Australian-centric. But a lot of people now are, of course, worried about regulation, compliance, contracts, all these kind of things that maybe get overlooked. So their lawyers there are very up to date with what's going on. They're keeping their finger on the pulse of the changes that are happening. So you can get advice with them. Of course, you can also get a discount from their services, and your first half an hour consultation is free to suss out whether you'd be a good fit or not.
Yeah, and speaking of law firms, if you are a law firm or you know of a good law firm that might want to work with us, either in the United States or the United Kingdom, we'd love to set up some partnerships. So reach out if that's you or you know someone that might fit that bill.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and as Jake said, there's lots of IA offers. There's some that are Australian-centric, there are some that are global, so go and check that out. There's lots there for you to choose from. So after the Fresh Life conference, Jake and I are jetting off to Cairo in Egypt to attend the ICCE or ICE conference, which is massive. It's held, I think, within very close proximity to the Great Pyramid of Giza, or at least that's where the gala dinner is. And there's a whole range of amazing discussions and topics and speakers. So, you know, Dr. Sebastian Cotofano will be there, Dr. Arthur Swift, among many, many others. And it's first time for me in Egypt.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. So, you know, they're still selling tickets. If you're in the region or you fancy a holiday to Egypt and you want to tack it on as a business expense, I would definitely check it out. It's your traditional conference, live cadavers, live injecting, talks, regenerative medicine, exhibition hall, gala, etc.
Yep.
And then we shoot straight to Toronto to the CAMA conference, or the Canadian Aesthetic Expo conference. And again, we'll be doing a lot of work there, podcasts, talks. David, you're also doing some stuff. So yeah, come and check us out at the CAMA conference if you're that part of the world as well.
And then finally, we're going to be back home and we'll collapse for a month. We're getting over all the travel and back to business as usual. But I'm looking forward to these overseas conferences. We're going to be on the hunt for lots of great content from around the world that maybe we don't sort of get exposure to here in Australia. So keep an eye out for a plethora of content that a little bit different from what we normally do. Yeah,
the next couple of months we'll be doing obviously a lot of podcast recordings at these events. We're still going to try and make our content varied for our Friday podcasts. We might publish some extra stuff or compilation podcasts as well. So just watch out for that content. Right, let's get into this podcast.
Yeah.
Chapter 12 of What's Trending.
Yeah, well, maybe let's just talk about all the different topics that we're going to cover. So first one, we're going to talk about GLP-1s, the wonder drug for weight loss. You and I have got some interesting perspectives, not totally in alignment, and I think that at some stage we'd like to get some experts on to talk about this in greater detail. But I guess for today's purposes, we're just going to cover it generally. You know, is it good? Is it bad? What are the pros? What are the cons? Maybe what are some of the things that we need to think about as practitioners and business owners?
Yeah, and then I guess budding off that topic, in the UK just a week ago, one of the companies, Eli Lilly, I think that's
Eli Lilly.
Eli Lilly, that's how you say it. They announced that they're going to increase the price of Mounjaro, their product, by 170%.
Whoa.
So, you know, quite significant. Now, yes, that is a weight loss drug, but this is the impact of the Trump tariffs and all of that sort of regulatory change in the States.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting. I mean, I don't have an answer yet, but we'll speculate what might happen with our aesthetic products.
Yeah. So not only will you lose weight physically, your wallet will lose weight too. So
exactly. So that's topic 2, I guess. Then we're going to talk about something different. We don't tend to sort of focus on celebrity makeovers and surgery. It's sort of, sometimes I find it a bit distasteful, but we're going to talk about Kris Jenner, her facelift, and I guess just some topics around that.
Yeah, well, specifically around this whole concept of natural. It's the buzzword at the moment. Obviously, we've seen the decline in HA fillers, the re-emergence of biostims, bioremodelers, regenerative type of aesthetics, and I guess all with the goal of looking natural in inverted commas. And I think we want to unpack, well, what does natural actually mean?
Yeah.
Because I think that's maybe where we're getting a bit lost in terms of what is it that we're trying to achieve.
100%. So GLP-1s, I guess just to fill people in who've never heard of them, it's a drug, or it's a peptide drug produced by various brands now. Now, they're originally used for diabetic patients to sort of get control of their sugars and their appetite, and as a sort of a nice side benefit was weight loss.
Yeah.
And then, of course, companies picked up on this fact that, wow, you can lose weight through a weekly injection, and it started being promoted, and brands were made just for weight loss as opposed to diabetic patients using these drugs. So that's sort of what we mean by GLP-1.
Yeah. Do we know what what actually stands for? Is it an acronym?
You put me on the spot now. I can't remember.
Right.
It's a glucose-like peptide, I think.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I think maybe I made that up. Or is it glucagon-like peptide? Can't remember.
Well, so in terms of what we're going to talk about today specifically, I mean, obviously in terms of what it can do for patients, help kickstart them into losing weight, it can be quite difficult depending on habits, lifestyle, your career, genetics, all those things can. Sorry, go on. Yes.
Yeah, glucagon-like peptide 1. I was
there. You go.
Right,
you're on the money. There you go. So being put on the spot's good.
Yeah.
So just unpack, the good, the bad, what we need to be mindful of, because I think I think overall, it's a great product. It can work really well, but like anything, we tend to maybe go too far. Overprescribe, overuse, like with HA fillers. Yes, it's a great product. It can be used, to give really good outcomes. But is there a danger of prescribing too much? Patient selection, long-term use, all those kinds of things. So yeah,
I guess it's worth saying, and I'm only quoting this figure from UK because I was reading it about our next topic. But about 1.5 million patients are on these types of drugs. So that is not insignificant.
It's a lot of people.
Huge.
Yeah.
And, like you just said, if used correctly, prescribed well, there's accountability, patients are sort of reviewed, might be a great tool.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll help our sort of obesity pandemic and, all the side benefits of maybe heart protection and blood pressure control. That may be useful. But what are your concerns?
Well, my concerns there's a few of them. So the first one is, I think that quite often, and I'm just going to be talking in general terms, of course, there are always exceptions to the rules and outliers, but in general terms, I think that, most people that need to lose weight or want to lose weight, there is a factor of needing to get their diet right and looking for a more long-term solution, because I think that these drugs run the risk of potentially just becoming part of someone's ongoing long-term, I guess, routine. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's not really addressing the underlying issue, which is probably dietary related, either a lack of education around diet or just got bad habits that need to be broken. Mm-hmm. And so I think that the danger of just relying on a medication to control your eating urges is probably not getting to the root cause of the problem, which is you've probably got something with your diet that needs to be fixed, or you need to be educated on proper diet. And so I think that being reliant on it and using it as a crutch ongoing could be an issue. Every drug has side effects, and I don't think GLP-1s are sort of unusual. And I think they do have side effects. Mm-hmm. Maybe we don't know the long-term use yet. I don't know how long this product's been useful, but are there things we're going to discover in the future that potentially could be problematic? Mm-hmm. I think that there's also the nutritional component as well. So someone that's got a bad diet, that's overweight, again, I'm talking in general terms, and obviously the term overweight can be from a little bit overweight to morbidly obese. Yeah. There's a scale there as well. So I'm conscious of that. But I'd say, generally speaking, someone that's maybe, fairly overweight, maybe doesn't have the best diet. They're probably eating the wrong types of food. So generally there's probably a nutritional deficit. They're not getting enough of the right macro and micronutrients in their diet. And all of a sudden, they're then taking a medication that's going to cut their appetite significantly. Mm-hmm. So do they run the risk of becoming even more malnourished or not getting the right nutrition into their body? Because all we're dealing with is just cutting the appetite. So malnutrition, and what does that lead to? Okay, is they're opening themselves up to being more susceptible to diseases, chronic illnesses. Then you've got the other issue of potential losing muscle mass off the body if you're not getting adequate protein into your diet. Mm-hmm. I'm not a doctor, but I know enough to understand that having lean muscle on your body, especially as you get older, is very beneficial to stop you having falls, being able to hold yourself up, balance, recover from things. So the more lean muscle you have on your body as you age, I think reduces your risk of sort of early death and injuries and so on. Yeah. So those are the major things that I think are the issues: the psychological component, the nutritional deficiencies, and muscle wastage.
And all valid. Yeah, all valid. And again, we have to assume if someone's going to prescribe something, which we know that people are doing this online with telehealth and getting it maybe without the most rigorous consultation. I'm basing this on the UK, not what happens here in Australia, because I don't actually know how it works here in Australia. But all valid. And like any drug, there's going to be pros and cons, rare complications, and people not appropriate for it. And it shouldn't be a crutch to, not doing anything else in your life. Yeah. And we were talking over breakfast today. It could be the same argument for blood pressure tablets, cholesterol tablets, anything that is sort of, you could argue it's a lifestyle issue as well as medical. Maybe you could just eat better, exercise, and improve those things. That's all valid. Yeah. I just don't know whether some of your sort of argument against has sort of been proven yet. In theory, yes. And sure, like, if you know that you're going to lose a ton of weight, including muscle, it's just kind of logical in that consultation before you're put on a GLP-1 to flag to someone, you need to think about what you're eating because you're going to be eating less.
Yeah.
So you need to be eating a lot of protein.
Yeah.
And you need to think about going to the gym. And you would hope that happens, but I don't know, and I can't speak to how it works.
I guess this kind of then feeds into the next point is, well, who's prescribing these drugs?
Yeah.
And what sort of consultation process are people actually having before they get prescribed it, and what's the ongoing care? And is there a long-term plan to say, hey, Jake, you want to start GLP-1s? Great. These are the things that we also need to get under control.
Yeah.
Like, let's look at your diet. Maybe you need to go and see a nutritionist. Are you exercising? Are we getting, you are going to have, a decreased appetite. It's important that we get these micronutrients in. You need to get enough protein in your diet. So there's actually a long-term plan.
Yeah.
And so I guess the question is, well, who's prescribing it? Are they going through that process? Are they adequately qualified, or do they have a network of other healthcare professionals that can help manage this patient? Because, there are lots of different things to consider. And I don't know the answer to that question, but it seems to be being rolled out in mass, the pun. And so I don't know if we run that risk of, missing some vital components. I was talking to a friend of mine who's a doctor that worked for a clinic that prescribed this. And she said to me, after 6 to 12 months, she actually left this place because she was starting to get bullied by patients. They wanted increased dosages, and it started to become like, almost like people wanting to get toxin fillers all the time. They get this dopamine hit and they want to, they need more and more and more. And all of a sudden, they're in a position where they're getting bullied by patients to prescribe them, higher and higher doses. And I think that's problematic.
It's totally true. I've definitely sort of seen and heard of that. And this is super anecdotal because in the UK, you've got the National Health Service, which is sort of your, Medicare in a way. And I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about people getting private scripts. And generally what's happening, it's a telehealth consultation. Yeah. There are companies, huge companies, one's called Juniper, but there's many others. And you essentially plug in some data, you sign up, it's all on an app. You take some photos of yourself normally, but not always. And then you eventually meet a doctor for a quick, hello, show me your tummy. Okay, what are your concerns? What are your goals? And as long as you basically tick the boxes, which most people would, it'd be rare that you couldn't have these type medicines. You'll get your drug. And then it's almost set up as a repeat script every month, every 3 months, or whatever that sort of cycle is. So sure, that it could be prone to abuse. So the patient may not sort of fully fulfill the criteria to actually get that drug, and they still get it. Maybe they're not honest with their complications because they like the fact that they've lost weight and they still want to continue that. And like you say, once you get to 6-12 months, where traditionally you'd potentially wean off or do something else, patients haven't put the building blocks in place to propel their life in a better direction with diet and exercise, and they just want the once weekly injection. I understand that, and that's the reality of where we are. It's harder to change than just to jab yourself once a week. It is.
Of course. So that's why I kind of think it needs to be done in combination with an overarching plan. So this is not a forever drug. This is, hey, this is a circuit breaker to help you get on the right path. And maybe, I've got a few friends that have been through the process where they're on a relatively, modest dose for a prolonged period of time. And then they wean themselves off and they have it like once a month. They might get, they have a really tiny amount every few weeks because, it helps keep their cravings, for example.
I will say, I'm not here to promote drugs, of course, not disclaimer, that's not what this podcast is for, but there are some very unusual added bonuses to some of these drugs that they have noticed. So like you said, people's cravings, not just for food, but alcohol, smoking, even gambling.
Dopamine.
Correct. Your sort of addictive behaviors have sort of been dampened down in some way. And maybe that's just, maybe GLP-1s also sort of deal with that sort of side of our sort of drive. But that's kind of interesting that, it's not just food that you're less likely to do. It's other bad behaviors. So that's interesting. And just people being more mindful of what does go in their mouth. Again, yes, you want to be getting enough protein, carbs, and having a balanced diet, but people really think about their food when they're not as hungry. They start thinking, well, what am I eating? What should I be eating? Should I be? And it's just interesting how it changes your mindset.
Yeah.
So it's not all bad news. It's not all good news. It's just, this trend of GLP-1s is not going to go away. Novo Nordisk and, say that word again, Eli Lilly. These are some of the biggest companies in the world now in terms of profit.
Yeah.
And they're going to be making more drugs that, for example, I think Eli Lilly are going to be making, I can't say it. Eli Lilly. Yeah. They're going to be making another sort of version of one of these drugs that also protects the muscle mass loss.
I wonder how that happens without having enough protein synthesis to...
So I don't want to get this wrong, but I read it was something to do with... So obviously there are some muscle wasting diseases.
Yeah.
They were trying to work just on that in the past.
Right.
And then they've realized, well, hey, that component of that drug would work with this side effect of GLP-1s.
Yeah.
So just combining the two products. So, these things will evolve and get better and hopefully be safer. But I guess the point of this trend is it's not going away. We need to think about what we're doing as prescribers. And, here in Australia, it hasn't really fully taken off yet that these things are in aesthetic clinics, but it's definitely started.
Yeah.
And
the telehealth clinic's going to be rolling them out. So
yes. And us aesthetic practitioners, whether we like it or not, or whether we offer it or not, our patients are going to be asking these questions.
Yeah. And I wonder, even if you're not one prescribing it, just having an awareness of the drug, your patients may be taking it. How does this impact treatments such as fillers and toxins and collagen stimulators? And, I had a client that had a patient, I think I mentioned this in a podcast a little while ago, where the patient was on GLP-1s, was losing mass amounts of weight very, very quickly, happened to have some skin tightening treatments at this person's clinic, and then the claim was made, the GLP-1, sorry, your skin tightening treatment caused my loose skin.
Yeah.
When in actual fact it was more than likely
your
massive weight loss. And then that's the other thing as well, like losing too much weight too quickly, and what does that do to the skin's ability to respond?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I can't remember which chapter it was. We have discussed the so-called Ozempic face in a previous episode of these. But yeah, it's something you definitely want to understand, appreciate, plan for with your patient, and support them on their journey as well, just as a holistic practitioner. Yeah.
So I mean, as I said, I like peptides. I think I'm on peptides at the moment to help me with an injury recovery. So I mean, I think that peptides are great. It's just making sure we don't abuse them, because it can be a problem. Like anything, too much of a good thing can potentially be bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, budding off, I guess, GLP-1 conversation is this specific issue in the UK that happened about a week ago. I actually found out through our Patreon UK chat. But one of the brands is called Mounjaro, made by Eli Lilly.
Yeah.
Got it right this time. And they have announced that they're going to increase the price of at least their maximum dose by 170%, which is not insignificant. So if you're paying, £122 a month, it's going to go up to about £330 a month. That's a huge jump. So I guess the background to that was the Trump tariffs and the American, I guess, government speaking to these big corporates saying, hey, America's paying too much. You need to make this more fair. And according to the company, they said, yeah, we admit that the UK market, it was just too cheap. And we're now going to bring it up in line with the rest of the world and Europe.
So effectively, America was subsidizing the rest of the world's cheap prices.
I guess that was the kind of inference from the Trump government.
Okay.
Yes. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But yeah, and I think the company have sort of said, yeah, you're kind of right.
Okay.
We were doing that.
Right.
So,
okay.
I mean, fair enough. Everyone's sort of been anti-tariff and anti-Trump, but sometimes you have to call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
We know that a lot of aesthetic treatments, the cost price, forget the patient price, cost price in America is much more than Europe.
Yeah.
We know that. Here in Australia, we pay a lot.
Well, considering the fact that America's got like a huge population, you would think that they would be paying less based on their...
It's the biggest market. Still is the biggest market. China's close by, but it's the biggest market.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So, you would want to make that market happy, not feel like it's banged over the head with the most pricing.
Yeah. So the upshot is that now this could cascade into costs of Botox, cost of dermal fillers, cost of everything.
Correct. Because most of it's not manufactured in the States. It's from abroad, even though they're American companies, or some are.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's been one thing I've been sort of speaking about privately with colleagues. It's like, is the price of Botox going to go up? Because, it's the biggest thing that I use every day.
Yeah. And so what does that mean for patients? Because if it does go up, then Either the patients are going to pay more or you're going to make less profit. There's only two.
And that ain't happening.
There's only two.
Joking aside, it's going to probably be a bit of both. But sure, if anyone's cost price goes up, you're not going to be able to sustain your business on less profit if you're currently already struggling, which most people or many people are.
Yeah.
You're just not.
And this sort of brings me back to the point that I've been speaking about sort of ad nauseum is you need to understand what your gross margins are.
Yeah.
This is when this sort of, level of detail knowledge of your business is super important, because if we do get a price hike, you need to know, okay, well, my business can weather that, and I don't want to pass it on to patients because my margin's already huge, or actually my margin's already on the borderline of being problematic.
Yeah.
I need to look for another supplier because the current product I'm using is just going to be too expensive for my business to sustain it. So this is why this stuff's super important to know. And just again, another plug for our Patreon. If you do join our Patreon, I talk about this quite a lot. There's actually a spreadsheet that I have created, which you can download and you can plug in what you sell your toxin for, what you buy it for, what your consumable cost is, and it works out what your margin is for you. So I don't have to do any of that. I've worked it all out for you. So yes, now is the time.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, not funny. On our Patreon, just maybe 3 days ago, we were talking about the price of Hylays.
Yeah.
Someone said, how much is Hylays? And I gave them my price that I buy it for from here locally in Australia. And she was like, oh, wow. And I was like, well, what do you pay? And there was a price difference of nearly $200. She was paying nearly $200 more.
Oh.
So again, if we look at what we're buying for, selling for, and just understand our numbers of our common things that we're doing every day, you will make more money.
Yeah.
For sure.
It starts with awareness.
Yeah, just awareness.
Yeah.
So I guess we don't know. I think they haven't quite decided whether all pharmaceuticals will eventually be under this new change, this new sort of tariff impact. But I'm a bit concerned.
Yeah. Well,
I can't imagine why it wouldn't.
Well, I think it's always best to prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like some of the companies, not necessarily pharma, but yes, some of the pharma companies have agreed to do more R&D in America. They're going to set up some sort of infrastructure in America. Fair play, I mean, if you don't want competition, you've got to make it yourself, right? But I don't know what that means for people outside of America and what our costs are going to look like in a few years' time.
Yeah. Well, definitely something to keep an eye on. And again, get to know your numbers, be in control of your business so you can make decisions quickly.
Yeah.
Because things move really quick. Things move really fast.
100%. Now, I guess our third topic was Kris Jenner.
Yes.
So I'm not all over sort of celebrity sort of culture and stuff, but this stuff went wild. Was it a month or two ago?
Yeah.
So Kris Jenner, mum of Kim Kardashian, she's 69, I think.
Yeah.
If I quote that right. And she was an attractive, well-known, obviously famous woman prior to having her second facelift.
Yeah.
But the speculation is a couple of months ago, photos were revealed of her looking spectacular.
Yeah.
Much younger, and it's speculated she's had a second facelift, probably deep plane facelift, maybe a brow lift, maybe lower or even upper breath or both, or
lip lift, maybe
one of the other.
Yeah.
I don't know about lips. I don't think nose was involved, but she looks great, and also her skin quality looks wonderful. Now, you raised the point that, well, is it just filters? Is it great lighting, photography? We don't know.
Well, assuming that she's not going to allow a photo to go out that's not great lighting.
Well, it's not photos, it's video as well.
Oh, right.
It's like her walking around, smiling,
Yeah,
looking happy. So presumably it's real. But anyway, I think the majority of the world said, wow, she looks wonderful. Let's celebrate, this and there's nothing really negative about it. But I guess the trend that we wanted to get into and the questions are, we've traditionally said as practitioners, you want to look natural and you want to look age appropriate. And most patients don't want a radical change. And it's not really what we normally offer as injectors. So she does look radically different. I mean, good, but she definitely doesn't look 69. She looks
70. Let's call it 70.
45 or whatever. She looks much younger. So, I mean, maybe because she's famous and she's a well-known celebrity, and I guess she's always spoken about treatments and surgery, maybe it just fits with the persona. Maybe just people accept it because that's what she's always done. But if your mum looked 45 instead of 70, it's a bit jarring.
It is, and I guess it comes back to what do we mean by the term natural?
Yeah.
Does natural mean, as Steve Harris would sort of infer, that you look like an alien, you don't look human anymore.
I mean, if you've pushed the boundary too far.
Yeah. So because technically speaking, she doesn't look natural for 70 at all.
Correct.
So,
but she looks proportioned and good.
So I guess what do we mean by natural?
No, exactly. I just wonder if the new trend will be that you don't have to look your age to look good.
Yeah.
I mean, not a trend, but will it be more acceptable?
Well, because people often say, I want to look good for my age. I don't want to look like something I'm not. I don't want to look like I'm, because you see this look sometimes. People get so much work done. You can't tell what age they are anymore. They could be 30 or they could be 70. You don't know because something about all the treatments they've had done, too many lasers, their skin has no pores anymore. Their features have all kind of mushed into one. And you kind of go, well, you don't look young, but you don't look old. I don't know. Like, you just don't look right. It doesn't look natural.
We had a patient in our clinic, lovely lady, and she's had a recent facelift, and she looks great. Like, I've seen her. She looks good. But a comment was made that, well, she doesn't look like her because she's changed. And I was like, well, by definition, that's what you're looking for from a facelift. So it's not bad. It's just that, the people who know you, your peers, your kids, your work colleagues, are going to know that you look very different.
Yeah.
And so, they might be the ones who kind of in a way are negative, even though you look good.
Yeah.
It's a hard one to sort of square. What are we trying to do, I guess is really the question.
Yeah. I think if you look like a younger version of yourself and everything looks in harmony and you don't have any sort of weird, anatomical things going on. Yeah. I'm all for it, to be honest with you. But I think it's not, I guess, what we would define as classically normal or natural, because you don't look like a natural 70-year-old.
I just wonder if we're sort of now in the phase where we can achieve outstanding results and look normal. Yeah. It's just it's a new paradigm. Yeah. We couldn't do that 20 years ago. Yeah. You had like a windswept, dragged up facelift, but you looked weird. Yeah. But you kind of didn't look as saggy, so people accepted it as better. Mm-hmm. Whereas now you have the whole package. And I guess the other trend that we've discussed this many times, and this sort of came from the Alma Academy we went to, it's combination treatments. It's utilizing not just one tool, but surgery. I'm sure Kris Jenner's had Botox and filler. I'm sure she'd had ablative laser as probably part of her facelift. And the combination of that is so much more powerful than a solo treatment.
Yeah, it's kind of like the synergistic relationship between the different modalities.
Yeah. So is the trend that you can look as young as you feel? Yeah. Is the trend, is there a new normal? Is there a new natural? Yeah. I don't fully know how to square this, but she looks sensational. She looks good.
And I guess it kind of fits in with some of the other topics that we spoke about, like GLP-1s, keeping your weight down, your diet, what role does that play in how quickly you age or the quality of your skin? Yeah. Things like intermittent fasting, which I guess GLP-1s could help you with as well, like giving your body the capacity to heal itself. It's not busy digesting food all the time. Because I think in the West, whether you're overweight or not, I think we probably do eat too much overall. Yeah. I eat way too much. I just happen to exercise a lot. And
every time I see you eating.
Yeah.
Every time.
But I'm not overweight. But I'm super active. But I probably still eat too much food. Yeah. So, look, I'd be interested to know what Steve Harris thinks about it. And what he would think about. Is it natural or not natural?
Well, she doesn't look like an alien. Yeah. So
yeah. I wonder if there's a family that's had more cosmetic surgery than the Jenners when you think about all of them. So you got Bruce Jenner, Kylie, Kim,
the rest of them.
Yeah, they've probably had more. It must be the Guinness Book of Records.
Yeah. Look, again, I mean,
not that it's a bad thing.
I don't keep an eye on this stuff, but they all look good to me.
Yeah. But yeah. They've done a lot of things for this industry. They should get some sort of commission.
Yeah, I was thinking about this because, as a practitioner who offers facial aesthetics every day, I'm generally pro, improving people's features. Yeah. Of course I am. But, I mean, yesterday I had a patient, and again, no confidentiality sort of disclosure, but I had a patient, and it struck me that she's in her mid-50s, and she looked good. Like, she's an attractive woman. But she had one feature that we both agreed needed surgery.
Right. And what feature was that?
Her under eyes. She needed a lower bleph.
Right.
And so we sort of went round and round and round a consultation, essentially going back to the same thing of, well, you look tired, there is a solution. You just sort of, if you commit to it, you won't really need to do anything else because you look great. And it sort of struck me that women, especially sort of pre or peri or certainly post menopause, you know, it's a big thing to deal with, aging and sort of not feeling like who you are on the inside, and your face sort of doesn't show that. It's a massive thing, especially for females because they go through menopause. And I don't want anyone listening to this thinking that we are judging Kris Jenner for sort of trying to change herself. I'm pro that, but I just wonder at what point is the balance. I guess it's sort of hard to define what's right and wrong. I don't think there is a wrong, and she's clearly happy.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a case-by-case basis, really.
Yeah.
I think all we can do as, you know, business owners and practitioners is just do the best that we can, educate ourselves, try and make people look like themselves, but better versions of themselves, not go too far.
Look, when I'm 69, if I can look like the male version of that, I'm taking it. Take my money. You know, I've kind of had this debate with other injectors about, you know, of course, we understand what overfilled facial syndrome kind of looks like, the puffy face, the pillow face, whatever. But without that filler, you know, you dissolve it. We all know that people can look really old, really crepey, really saggy, and certainly not a good version of themselves either.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of wondering, is there an argument the augmented look is better than nothing at all? It's hard to sort of know that balance.
And also, you know, the inextricable link between what you physically look like and how you feel and how you act.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a correlation there, for sure. Like if you get up every day and hate what you look like, you're just going to have a negative outlook on life. That negative outlook on life is going to not really ingratiate yourself with people. They're not going to be around you. Then you feel lonely. Then you sort of get more antisocial. You know, so I think it's all linked together. So I think if you get up and like what you see, it's going to put you in a more positive frame of mind and make you feel better about yourself. But it's like everything, you know, you can go too far with it. It can become an issue, you know.
Yeah, I talk about the Goldilocks principle. You know, don't take it too far. Don't do nothing. Just stay in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, yeah,
and you'll probably be okay with it. Obviously, an ethical injector who understands what they're doing.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I think she looks great. Love to know who the surgeon is. Did it say?
They have given his name. I think it's Dr. Steve Levine from memory from New York.
Right. Okay.
So shout out to your surgery. And again, it wasn't just the surgery. There was definite volumization, whether it's fat transfer or filler, both. Don't know. She obviously has Botox.
Yeah, there's probably a whole lot of things that led up to that have helped with that result.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, I think, again, I don't watch sort of the Kardashians and stuff, but she has been very open with her skincare regime. Her first facelift was sort of, you know, talked through. So she's kind of pro procedure, but in an open way, which I think is great.
Yeah.
We shouldn't sort of pretend that nothing happened.
Yeah.
Clearly it did.
Yeah, totally.
So...
Well, if you're listening, Kris, and you want to come on and tell us about your...
Come and tell us about it. We'd love to host you. That'll be episode 400. So those are the sort of the main trends. I mean, the other one that we might touch on... Well,
bonus topic.
Yeah, well, we definitely will do a podcast on this. I mean, I was in America in February, and I was sort of lucky enough to sort of do the first webinar across America where Botox was indicated for a new indication, which was platysma, the muscle in your neck. Now, is that a trend? Because, you know, we've been doing this stuff for 20 years with Nefertiti lifts and versions of that. But I think the cool thing with launching a formal indication with a well-known product is it forces injectors to go back and look at evidence, anatomy, safety, choice of dose, lower facial aesthetic, and it sort of refocuses a whole new paradigm. Many injectors don't touch the neck.
Yeah.
They don't do anything, and you get this disparity between face and neck.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not really a trend, but, you know, now this indication is also launched in Australia. It's in Canada.
Yeah.
I think that injectors are going to start to re-look at necks and even décolletage and get off the face.
Yeah.
So it will be a new trend in a way.
And I think this kind of highlights importance of your consultation process, your patient relationship, how well you've built trust with that patient. Because I think that we've become, especially here in Australia, we've become so used to just doing those three areas. Patients are in this sort of this pattern And then how do you sort of start to shift that conversation to a different area without coming across as pushy, making sure you've got a good grasp of anatomy, how it's all going to work. And you've actually got that relationship with your patient, so you can actually start transferring them over to different areas. And this is something we'll talk about at greater length. This is the importance of the consultation, but moreover, like the whole patient journey in your business and how that all works.
Yeah.
I'm giving a few talks on this when we're overseas at our conferences, and I think it's an area that's going to have to start getting more focus on it, because I think that once you do a great consultation and you've got that patient journey mapped out, moving on to these other areas will make your life a lot easier.
Yeah.
Even things around the amount of top-ups or free toxin units that get used because they, the patient expectations haven't been set correctly from the beginning. Language choice, your consultation has sort of boxed you into a corner. And when I look at people's profit and loss statements and look at the disparity between how much money should be there based on the margin that they're making and how many units they've sold versus actually how much is there, there's a lot of units that are disappearing, and a lot of them are through top-ups. So rather than giving units away for free for top-ups, is this an opportunity to use those units to actually introduce other areas into people's treatment regime if it's indicated and they need it?
I'd love to understand that data. I don't know if you can connect me with those injectors that you speak to, because, I know I'm an experienced injector and I dose well, but I want to know how far off they are from what, kind of what I would typically.
Well, like I would, up 10% plus, 10, 15% plus in some instances.
So what do you think is making injectors not give what they think they should give on the first treatment?
I just think that they don't set the expectation in the consult that, hey, I'm going to see you in 2 weeks for a clinical review. This is the dose I'm giving you today. Mm-hmm. I'm a conservative injector. I'd rather be on the cautious side, because if I put too much in and you hate me, there's not much we can do about it. But that's the beauty of coming back in for your review, is that if you need extra treatments at that point, you can pay. I can administer them to you at your review. You can pay for them then rather than paying for them now.
Yeah.
And that way we can just continue to tweak and fine tune your result, because you might be happy with it, but I've got a trained eye. I know that if I look at your face and if there's an opportunity to improve, I'd like to do it. I want to get you the best result possible.
Yeah.
Rather than not saying anything and the patient's not happy, there's a little bit of movement still, and all of a sudden the patient has left with the expectation on that first visit that they're going to get a perfect result in inverted commas. And then they don't get that. And then their expectation is that, oh, well, I didn't get the result that I thought I was going to get. Therefore, you haven't done your job properly.
Yeah.
Give me free
units.
It's a
communication issue.
It's a communication and an expectation setting. Whereas if you at the start of the relationship, or this, especially this is for, hopefully, as an experienced injector, once you've treated someone 1 or 2 times, you've probably got their dose dialed in. Obviously it's going to change over time as they age and so on, but for all intents and purposes, it's probably going to be pretty static for a while once you've gotten used to their face. But for those first times, making sure you have that conversation ahead is so important. And also just, again, the importance of that clinical review. Like, how can you get better at your job unless you've seen the result of your treatment at peak efficacy?
Yeah.
And that's how it has so many other benefits. You're not going to be giving away free units, which is going to increase your profitability. You're not going to be getting, as many complaints or having to do more treatment for free every time they come back into your clinic, and giving you another data point of how you can improve. That's potentially going to help you with other patients. It's going to improve your retention. Yeah. It just has so many upsides, and it's just an area that's overlooked. And it's not big stuff. It's just tweaking your process.
Yeah. I mean, you and I are so used to this that maybe it's normal, but you're right. It's not taught that way.
No.
Especially for new injectors. You're taught, well, there's a glabella, 20 units, done, or whatever the sort of protocol is. But all of that concept is forgotten. So I reckon we must have spoken about this 1,000 times, but yes, really important.
Yeah. So to get back to your question, the discrepancy. So I'll just drill down into that a little bit more. So if I'm looking at someone's profit and loss statement, and I'm looking, okay, well, how much money has your business made last financial year? Okay, you've made X amount of dollars. Okay, how much of that money has come from anti-wrinkle treatments? Okay, cool. What's your margin on your toxin? Let's say it's 65%. So you're buying it for X, you're selling it for Y. There's this much margin expressed as a percentage. Okay, cool. So you've sold this many units of tox at this margin. Therefore, there should be this amount of dollars that's hit your bank account. Yeah. Right? But in these instances, the amount that actually has hit the account is much less than what should have been there based on how much profit they're making, but times how many units they've actually sold.
Yeah.
And so it's been given away in top-ups, or they've got multiple injectors working within it. It's generally where there's more injectors, people are lax, things tend
Spilling,
stuff's, falling into people's handbags and wallets, reconstitution, slack, just being slack, not having processes in place, like doing stock checks at the beginning and the end of every day. So, you know what the discrepancy is if there is one on a daily basis. Because if you've got multiple injectors using a room, by the time you get to the end of a week and you do a stock check, how are you ever going to be able to identify where that loss occurred or who did it, who's responsible for it?
Yeah,
and so
that mad, but fair enough.
Those are the things that generally are the discrepancy, and that's why people go, "Gosh, I don't know where the money's going." It's because it's just falling. You've got holes in your bucket, and the money's falling out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
and let's not use the word top up ever again. We're going to retreat
the new term, and I should have coined this term. Everyone, I think people are starting to use it now. Maybe I heard it somewhere. Dose adjustment.
Yeah, or whatever.
Yeah, top up just means free. Top up means
it's trivial, isn't it?
Yeah,
top up.
Yeah, it's a dirty word.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess back to the trend, lower face, platysma. We will definitely do a podcast on this. I don't know when, but we'll sort of talk about in a little bit more depth. But yeah, so that's I guess the trends for this week.
Yeah.
Or this chapter.
Yep.
So we'll hopefully see some of you in Brisbane at the Fresh Life. Then we'll see someone in Cairo, and then we'll see some of you in Toronto. So look forward to seeing some new faces, and hopefully enjoy our new videos for YouTube and Spotify.
Yep.
If you want to reach out with any questions or anything, the best way to speak to us is through our Instagram. So just join us at Inside Aesthetics Podcast. That's our handle. And like I said, you can join up to our Patreon for free member. It's just an easier way of communicating with us, and we'll send you some of our offers and promotions.
Yep.
And if you want the extra content and David's spreadsheet that he mentioned, join our Patreon as a subscriber.
Yeah. And also, I don't know if I mentioned this at the top of the podcast. I did mention it a while ago quite frequently, but I haven't said it in a while. I do private business coaching. If you want to find out more about that, just go to insideaesthetics.com and just go to the IA business page, and you can find out all about what I do. I don't have huge amounts of availability, but some things come up now and again. So if you want to find out more, just head over there.
You have to be a Patreon subscriber.
Yeah.
Cool, guys. See you in the next episode. For our latest news, follow us on Instagram at Inside Aesthetics Podcast. If you want to get in touch with myself or David, follow us on Instagram as well at Dr. Jake Sloane and David_Inside Aesthetics.
Join our Patreon for invaluable business and injectable education. Get access to our global community of like-minded professionals, live and interactive Zoom sessions, hints and tip videos, webinars, and more. Head over to www.insideaesthetics.com/Patreon for more information.